Top 10. Steph Curry, the Shaq of point guards. While the Diesel collapsed defenses, Steph expands them, taking Mike D'Antoni's three-point philosophy and turning it up a few notches. Defenses have to stay on him full court, which his handles and elusiveness make impossible. Then he'll pull up from half court and make it 43.5% of the time. He is undoubtedly the greatest shooter of all time after becoming the career leader in three-pointers made. Compared to most of the guys on this list, though, Curry was a slow starter. He had ankle problems early in his career, forcing us to wait to see the greatness we caught glimpses of during his college days at Davidson. Warriors fans booed then-new owner Joe Lacob on Chris Mullin night for giving the team to Steph after trading fan favorite Monta Ellis for Andrew Bogut. 3 years later, Golden State won its first championship in 4 decades. Now he's the first unanimous MVP in league history, which is pretty stupid, but still, and has 4 rings to go with another MVP. With his latest title, he finally crossed Finals MVP off his checklist after a dominant performance against the Boston Celtics. There's absolutely nothing left for Steph to accomplish, and that's why he's in our top 10 list. We're already seeing Steph's impact on basketball as kids start shooting from deep earlier than ever in their young careers, and on the league as NBA teams put the mid-range jumper out to pasture and fully embrace the three-pointer. As a member of the league's 75th anniversary team, Curry is easily one of the most influential players to lace him up. Top 9. Tim Duncan. If you know the story of the big fundamental, then you know it's hard to imagine that he would become one of the greatest power forwards in basketball. Duncan grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and he was a swimmer. He didn't start playing basketball until he was a teenager. After 4 years at Wake Forest, he became a generational talent that every bad team in the 1996 to 1997 season hoped to have so he could improve their team. The Spurs were lucky to draft Tim Duncan, and he helped the team become successful for many years. He was honored by the NBA 75 times, and he won championships 5 times. He was also named the Finals MVP 3 times, the regular season MVP 2 times, and an All-Star 15 times. He was selected for the All-NBA and All-Defensive teams 15 times. Duncan played all 19 seasons in San Antonio and consistently achieved high stats. He also had a strong personality, as portrayed by the media. He played with David Robinson, who was a legend, and with future Hall of Famers Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Pau Gasol, and Kawhi Leonard. Other than Leonard, Duncan was the best player on the Spurs. He was one of the top 10 players in rebounds, blocks, win shares, and defensive win shares. His injuries ended his career, but he was a double-double player from the 1997 to 1998 season to the 2009 to 2010 season. In 251 playoff games, he averaged 19.9 points per game, PPG, and 11.0 rebounds per game, RPG. His playoff success is what makes him stand out from other contemporary power forwards who are more physically and athletically gifted, like Karl Malone and Kevin Garnett, but what he's most known for is his quiet, dignified manner. Spurs coach Greg Popovich summed it up best when the franchise retired Duncan's jersey. He's a bit of an enigma. You think Kawhi Leonard doesn't talk much, Popovich said. When Timmy first joined, it was like we had telepathic powers. I'd say something and he'd stare. I wasn't sure if he was paying attention, but I realized he understood everything I was saying. He probably agreed with half of it, but he was so respectful that he wouldn't say anything until later. After talking things through, Popovich often let Duncan take the lead, and the results spoke for themselves. Top 8. Wilt Chamberlain. Some of us strongly believe that Wilt Chamberlain should be a part of the NBA's most iconic group, the Mount Rushmore of the NBA. Nobody changed the game of basketball like Wilt Chamberlain. No, body. They tried to limit his dominance by making new rules, but he still set records that no other player will ever come close to matching. Who else can say they averaged 50.4 points per game like Wilt did in the 1961-62 season? Who else will average 22.9 rebounds per game over the course of their career, like Wilt did? Who will ever score 100 points in a game like Wilt did? You're saying someone will average more than 45.8 minutes per game like Wilt did during his 13 seasons in the NBA? And no one will ever come close to his 23,924 career rebounds. Tim Duncan, the best rebounder in the game since Moses Malone and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, finished 9,000 rebounds behind Chamberlain even though he played 5 more seasons. Some people say that Wilt Chamberlain played against much weaker players in the 1960s and 1970s, when people thought that a 7-foot 1-inch center couldn't be the most athletic player on the court. But you can only beat the competition in front of you, and the NBA tried to stop Wilt Chamberlain, who rightfully earned a spot on the NBA's 75th anniversary team, when opponents couldn't. Because of Chamberlain's domination, the league made some changes. They widened the lane, outlawed players rebounding missed free throws before the ball touched the rim, changed the definition of offensive goaltending, and forbade inbounds passes over the basket because it was an automatic alley-oop to Wilt every single time. Jordan may be the greatest of all time, and the league definitely changed some of its rules because of him, but MJ never changed the rule book the way Chamberlain did. Top 7. Larry Bird. Boston has had many Hall of Famers play in the old Boston Garden, but no one was as good at scoring or as reliable at making key shots at the end of games as Larry Legend. He was a 3-time champion and won 3 MVP awards in the mid-80s. He also made the NBA's 75th anniversary team. Bird was an excellent shooter and loved to beat his rivals while talking some of the most underrated trash. One of the most discussed what-if scenarios in NBA history is about Bird's back, which he unfortunately injured while driving his mother's car during the summer of 1985. If Bird wasn't known for being a bit of a DIY expert, it's hard to imagine what else he could have done, since he never quite felt the same after that and had serious problems during his final years in the league. But he still averaged 24.3 points and 10.0 rebounds over his 13 seasons. Bird was a winner, and he made incredible passes. He could see the whole court before anyone else, and he made the key play that won the game. This is why, even though he could barely get loose enough to play at the end of his final season, Bird was one of the most celebrated members of the legendary Dream Team. There was no way the greatest basketball team ever assembled could leave off the greatest small forward the game had ever known at that point. Bird's been replaced by someone else on that list of legendary players, but the hick from French Lick is forever a legend. Top 6. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq's career was the most dominant in NBA history. He's one of the most skilled bigs ever to play the game, and we've all seen the video of him beating MJ in a one-on-one before the All-Star game. Shaq's dominance was evident from his first move. You could see it coming, but you couldn't stop it. He was either going to make a shot or cause a foul. Shaq was the most explosive, athletic, and quick big in the NBA. He was one of a kind, and he was easily one of the most entertaining players in the NBA. There will never be another Shaq. Top 5. Kobe Bryant. I want to be clear. This decision has nothing to do with Kobe Bryant's death. In my opinion, it's disrespectful to exclude Kobe Bryant from any list of the best players of all time. Even after he retired, Magic and Shaq named Kobe the greatest Laker of all time. Shouldn't that speak volumes? We can talk about how Kobe impacted the game and basketball culture, but that shouldn't be the main focus. He won many awards, including NBA MVP, 5-time champion, 2-time Finals MVP, 18-time All-Star, and 9 All-Defensive First-Team selections. He's also the 4th leading scorer. Despite all his accomplishments, some people criticize him using advanced statistics like usage rate and efficiency. I think that's ridiculous. Kobe won just as many titles as Bird, LeBron, Wilt Chamberlain, Magic, and Shaq. Did you watch Kobe Bryant, who was on the NBA's 75th anniversary team, for 20 years and think, he's not that efficient, so I don't think he's great? Social media can be good and bad, so please don't believe the nonsense that Bryant wasn't as great as he was. Rest in peace, Mamba. Top 4. Magic Johnson. When talking about the best point guards in NBA history, Magic Johnson is always at the top of the list. He's ranked number 4 overall, and for good reason. Johnson changed the game of basketball when he joined the NBA in 1979. In his first season, he started Game 6 of the NBA Finals at center and scored 42 points. He played all 5 positions in the game and led the Lakers to their first title in almost 10 years. This was just the start for Magic, who, given his size, completely changed how the basketball world thought about guards. His numbers and awards look unreal in 2020. With 5 championships, 3 MVPs, 9 All-NBA first-team selections, and a spot on the NBA's 75th anniversary team, Magic had one of the best careers in league history. The best part? Magic made the game fun. That's what made him so special as a player. He and Larry Bird literally saved the league in the 80s. While they had very different styles, there's no question that Magic influenced basketball more. Magic should be on anyone's NBA top 5 list. Top 3. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the NBA's all-time leading scorer and inventor of the most lethal shot in association history. He scored 38,387 points during his career. Maybe LeBron James will surpass him in another 4 or 5 seasons, but it would take a great effort for James to surpass Abdul-Jabbar, the greatest center ever. Abdul-Jabbar played for a long time, which is almost unrivaled. He won the NBA Finals MVP award 14 years in a row, which is an unparalleled achievement. Abdul-Jabbar also won many other individual awards, including 6 MVPs, one more than Russell and Jordan. He is the only player in NBA history to win an MVP without his team making the playoffs. He was also selected for the NBA 75 team, which recognizes the top 75 players in the league's history. He played for the Bucks and the Lakers, and he won 3 MVPs with each team. He also won 5 of his 6 championships in Los Angeles. Abdul-Jabbar was an All-Star 19 times, and he was in the top 5 for MVP 15 times. We won't list all his awards here, or you would have to scroll for a long time. He is the greatest center in the history of the sport. Bill Russell might have more titles, and Wilt Chamberlain might have all those records that no one can beat, but Abdul-Jabbar was better at attacking the basket than Russell was. He also retired as the league leader in 9 statistical categories because he played longer than Chamberlain. Abdul-Jabbar wasn't as physically dominant as Wilt or Shaquille O'Neal, but his ability to move easily around the court was remarkable for a player his size. All other big men should bow down to the captain. Top 2. LeBron James. I'm an easy person to write this piece because I have LeBron James at the top of my list of the best NBA players. When you think of LeBron James, you think of greatness. From his first NBA dribble to now, he has consistently met and exceeded expectations since he first played in an NBA game in Akron, Ohio. He not only met expectations, he exceeded them. In fact, when his career is over, it's likely he'll be the top player on this list. People will continue to debate whether LeBron is better than Michael Jordan, but it's already clear that LeBron has reached a very high level. There are plenty of stats and awards that make James the obvious choice for the top spot, but they don't really matter. We all know what he's done and will continue to do for at least a few more years. For me, what secured James's spot in the conversation with MJ was his performance in 2016. He led the Cleveland Cavaliers back from a 3-1 deficit against the 73-win Golden State Warriors. In my opinion, that's the most impressive achievement in NBA history, and it will be difficult to surpass. From scoring 41 points in 2 games in a row to the block in Game 7, LeBron improved a lot in 2016. He was chosen for the league's 75th anniversary team, and he has been considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time, along with Michael Jordan. They are on a different level than everyone else, and that's okay. Also, LeBron is very close to passing Kareem for the most points in NBA history. It's interesting because he hasn't been recognized for his scoring ability despite his stats. He still has a lot more to accomplish in his career, but let's not forget everything he's done off the court. He opened a school in his hometown and built his own media empire. He has done everything we expected and more. He's a true GOAT. Top 1. Michael Jordan. Do you need more details? Michael Jordan is clearly the best. This man won 3 championships in a row. Then he left to play baseball for a while. After that, he came back and won 3 championships again. Then he won another championship, and he was one of the oldest players to average 20 points per game and score 40 points or more in a game. There's no question that he's the greatest of all time.